The Peace Dependency podcast is brought to you by Total Red NES. Shop your Goofy Food Controller TWO merch and CTWC approved hardware on TotalRedNES.com. Welcome to the Peace Dependency podcast. I'm your host, Frank, also known as Sir Mazer. Today, we have pretty much the only written media journalist on the show, and the one who timestamps every CTWC regional qualifier and CTWC itself. He got famous for timestamping the Jonas qualifier during CTWC 2020 and did multiple qualifiers in 2021. I am talking about Wingfryer. We talked about TetrisInterest.com, how he got into NES Tetris, and the way he timestamps everything. This is our conversation. Wingfryer, welcome to the Peace Dependency podcast, and thanks so much for doing this.
Thanks. It's a pleasure to be here.
Hey, first question is always the same question to everyone who's new on a podcast, and that is, how did you get into NES Tetris?
Well, it's kind of the usual for like other people, but basically I found NES Tetris from the Classic Tetris World Championship, specifically the 2016 finals with that's known for the Boom Tetris for Jeff meme.
Oh,
And
yeah.
Definitely. And I remember like on the YouTube homepage, they had like a video gaming section because I think YouTube knew that I watch a lot of video gaming videos. And like one of the results was the Tetris tournament. And I saw that. I'm like, I wonder what a good game of Tetris looks like. So I decided to click on it. And
Yeah.
it was just the commentary from Chris Tang, like Boom Tetris. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is fascinating to watch.
Did you play any Tetris before you watched the CTWC 2016 final?
Yeah, I actually did. Well, not much, but in third grade, I played a little bit of Game Boy Tetris, but I was in third grade at the time and I wasn't too good at video games. So, like, I only played like one or two games and like I didn't really know what to do. So, I kind of stopped playing that game and moved on to other games.
What were the games that you were playing around that time?
Other games I played was basically just Super Mario and Miss Pac-Man. I was just playing Pac-Man because I knew how to play that game.
like the arcade version of Pac-Man, or like some version on what is it, PlayStation or Switch, or I don't think the Switch was released back in 2016, or Wii U or something like that.
Well, I had this Game Boy pack called Namco Museum. I think it had the arcade version of Miss Pac-Man there, as well as other arcade games. So I just played that on the Game Boy.
And Super Mario, you played that on which console?
I played that on the Game Boy too, but I wasn't too good at it. I was just mainly watching my older brother play it.
So you watched the 2016 finals. Were you immediately captured by Tetris, or were you like, what the heck am I watching?
It was more of like, what the heck am I watching? Because like the commentators were like enthusiastic about this tournament, and it was like actually serious. So it was just like, yeah, it was like, what the heck is this? And it's like, oh my gosh, this is actually a thing.
But did you watch any Tetris videos directly afterwards, or did you wait like 2-3 years before it got recommended by YouTube again?
I forgot to tell you. So this was around the late 2017, but yeah, I ended up actually just binge watching other Tetris tournament videos, and I also was looking up like the tournament on Wikipedia, and basically I was looking up like Jonas Neubauer because he was the guy that won, and I wanted to like see like his history, like was he always winning? And I saw the stats on
Yeah.
his win rates.
So you would like take a deep dive into the history of classic Tetris.
Yeah, because I wanted to kind of know more about the tournament itself and like where it started.
Yeah. So how did you become a fan then of classic Tetris?
How did I? Well, it was just a simple like binge watching the tournaments, and also, well, I was busy with college at the time, so that's probably why I wasn't like too into it
Yeah.
yet. But I didn't really. I was just following. I was trying to search up Classic Tetris World Championship on social media, and I found
Yeah.
those. And also, I was looking up Jonas Neubauer. I mentioned that. I looked him up on YouTube, and I found his Tetris 101 videos, and I got to learn a little bit more about him through YouTube. This was before I knew about Twitch, so I was kind of keeping up with that while being busy with college.
So around what time did you start following Tetris on Twitch or Jonas on Twitch?
Yeah, I'm trying to. Okay, yeah, I followed Jonas, and so the social media was like late 2017, and I found Twitch on like early 2018, World Championship, and Jonas's Twitch channel. Because basically what happened was that on Facebook, there was a SoCal regional for the Clash Tetris World Championship,
Yeah.
like happening in I think early 2018, and I saw like, oh, Harry won, and uploaded on YouTube, and I'm like, wait, did I miss a live stream of it on YouTube? But then I realized they streamed on Twitch, and then it's like I started to realize what Twitch was, and I started going on Twitch and following other Tetris streamers there.
So was it only your sole purpose for making a Twitch account to watch Tetris content, or did you watch other content as well?
Just the Games Done Quick channel because I found uh because I was looking up other video games that I started playing as well, such as like Metroid Fusion and Metroid Prime series, and
Mm.
I found the GDQ runs of those, and that's how I
Oh
found
yeah.
like Games Done Quick.
Uh,
That's kind of the only other thing I watched besides the Tetris streams.
GDQ, ADDQ, and SDDQ.
Yeah, those
Yeah,
the main events.
I love those marathons in January and what is it in July or something like that, August. So when ADDQ and SDQ is happening. We rarely watch it live on Twitch because the games that I'm interested in are always at what is it 1 a.m. local time or at a time that I'm at work. So I always watch the YouTube videos back. So I'm always interested in Zelda and Pokemon and Tetris, for example. So that's this. I always love the GDQs, like the marathon streams.
Yeah, it's like one game like Metroid Fusion at like 4 a.m. my time. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna wake up early to that, and I actually did.
I don't know which year it was, but Linkus 7 was doing the graveyard shift. So that's like 2 a.m. starting time in wherever it was, but it was like early morning for me. So and he was had a 6 hour window of completing 100% of Wind Waker, which is now not now my second favorite Zelda game, but at the time it was my favorite Zelda game. So I binge watched that whole video like in a day. And my wife was like, "What are you watching?" Yeah, I'm like watching a speed run of Wind Waker 100%.
Wow. Yeah, it's like, what are you doing?
Yeah, exactly. But it's the same for Tetris because when I got into NES Tetris, like same year that the rest of us got into Tetris, who watched the 2016 video for the first time, uh, we binge watched like everything, and I didn't watch classic Tetris live on Twitch. Like basically, the first year I was in the community in 2020. I watched everything else on YouTube.
Oh, wow. Yeah, and my first Tetris tournament I watched live was actually 2018 because it was around late 2017. I found the 2017 tournaments, and 2018 was kind of when I was kind of discovering Twitch
Yeah.
early.
So Jonas was influential on you for getting into classic Tetris or Tetris in general. What was it like to be in a stream of Jonas?
Yeah, it's interesting because the thing, Jonas kind of is more is like a very good party host. That's the way I would describe it. I don't know if I can describe it any better, but like it's basically like you're just comfortable around him. He's just there having fun. Like he's like a relaxed, like, hey, just have a good time type person, and that's probably why like his stream is very approachable and why I always enjoyed hanging out on his streams every time
Yeah.
I go.
So that was also the reason why he kept coming back to Jonas whenever he was live.
Yeah, exactly, and yeah, and that's and later on, I like put notifications on. I joined his Discord server and
Yeah.
just to make sure I don't miss his streams.
So if you missed them, did you watch them back or so?
Um, Sometimes I do, but most of the time I just watch the clips because it's better to just be there live so that way you can kind of chat with him.
Yeah.
That's it's a lot it's yeah, it's a little bit different when it's not live because you want to be with him like in those moments.
Yeah. So you were his final mod that got added to the mod team, right?
Yeah, I was.
So how did that go?
Yeah, so it's interesting story, and you've heard about this too. Was well, basically in the 2020 Classic Tetris World Championship. So obviously the qualifying run, um, because it's all online, it's a bit different. And I was checking up, and I was looking at like the procedures on the Classic Tetris website, and I wanted to like kind of help them out. It said like one of the things that you need was an original NES Tetris cartridge, and Jonas had like an EverDrive cartridge, and I remember like kind of like mentioning on his Discord, like,
Yeah.
"Hey, make sure you have the NES cartridge," which he did. So like that got taken care of. And also, I saw one thing I saw was the so you have to record like your top three scores. Like they wanted to like kind of look over that, and you need
Yeah.
those time stamped. And I knew that was going to be a lot of work. So I thought to myself, okay, how am I going to help Jonas with this? And at the time, Twitch had this feature where if you're watching a VOD, you get to see how long the stream is running.
Yeah.
So when he was about to stream, so what I did was, okay, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take out my phone. I have a memo so I can type stuff. I'm going to type down I'm going to type down the time when he started each game and write down his scores.
Oh wow. That's so cool. Yeah.
It was, and it was like, I'm gonna watch him live because I wanted to watch him live, and
Yeah.
it was around 1 p.m. my time. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna watch his games live. I'm just, you know what? This is my opportunity to help him. I'm gonna help this guy. I've enjoyed the stream this whole time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So time
and
to give something back.
yeah, pretty much because I've always wanted to kind of like thank Jonas for like being on his for his streams and just having a good time there. But
Yeah.
I guess that was my way of saying but other people were saying thank you to Jonas, and I felt that it wasn't necessary. Like he already had a lot of support, so I guess that was my way of saying thank you for everything was
Yeah.
just to help him out in general.
But it was a very frustrating call for Jonas back in 2020.
Yeah, I remember like basically in his beginning games, like he had 900K scores, but I guess due to some bad RNG, like he wasn't able to score max out, and he would like reset his
Yeah.
games. And yeah, it was towards the end when he finally got a max out, and yeah, that was I remember that, and I guess that was a big help to him because he didn't wanna look at his terrible games either.
I remember I was restreaming a match for CTL, and I don't know who played during that match, but what I do remember is that I had my phone in front of me so I could watch Jonas qualify while commentating on a Tetris match.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
It was not great commentary because I was more focused on Jonas' qualifying run than on the match itself. So sorry if you were playing, sorry if you were playing that match, but it is what it is. So unfortunately, Jonas passed away early 2021. So what do you think is his legacy towards the community?
His legacy? So,
Yeah.
basically, I think other people have said this, but I would say his legacy would not just besides his achievements was just like how he was as a person. Like personality does matter when you're like in a community, and Jonas kind of showed like we learn from Jonas is to like be kind to people and avoid like judging other people. He
Yeah.
always mentioned that on his streams, like avoid judging other people, and that's something that I learned a lot from his streams.
Is it something you think the community does?
I would say in general the community does a good job at that, and because like everybody is basically friends and they you know they accept each other for who they are as a
Yeah.
person. Like I'm not like comfortable, like I don't have to like censor myself around the community.
Yeah. Yeah. The community is growing and growing every day. So like naturally we create smaller bubbles and smaller Discord servers and all that. So it feels like you are not active on the main Discord servers like CTM, CTWC, as in chit chatting, if you know what I mean, but more like time stamping matches and like history searching and all that. But it seems like you're a little bit more active in the don't want to call them vague, but lesser known Discord servers.
Yeah, I guess I'm more involved. Yeah, because I don't spend time on a lot of Discord servers because it would take up a lot of my time. So that's why I'm
Yeah,
only hanging out on CDWC and CTM. But well, I was mainly well. The thing is, when I was involved in the Tetris community, in reality, I was mainly involved in Jonas's community. That's the thing.
yeah. So, do you consider yourself more of as a Tetris community member?
I would say now that I am with like my website, but like when Jonas passed away, I was trying. It was kind of hard. I had to like kind of figure out where I stand in the Tetris community. Like I know I have my website, but like
Yeah,
I wanted to see. I wasn't sure if I really want to stay in that community because I only hung out with Jonas. But I think over time I saw how great the community is, so that's probably why I ended up staying in the
yeah.
Tetris community.
So, what do you like about the community?
Well, I think in general is just looking forward to CDWC every year
Yeah,
and kind of seeing the dueling matches, like the because CDWC I see that as more of like the serious matches because that's kind of like the premier tournament in classic Tetris
yeah.
besides CTM.
So, CTRC is a tournament you look out for every year.
Yeah, and the one thing is back in Jonas's stream, there was a lot of anticipation because towards the end, a lot of people would ask like, "When is the CDWC?" and Heather would always have to answer, and I want to help out in that too, so I
Yeah.
had a copy and paste ready for the dates and for the website.
Nice. Oh wow. So have you ever attended CGWC yourself?
I never had even yeah, because it's in Portland, and I think I'm usually busy or like I didn't have a job at the time, so that's why I didn't go, and I didn't want to like necessarily ask my parents to like go to Portland. I think it would be weird for me to kind of explain to them why I wanted to go to Portland.
Yeah.
Like I
So,
wanted to attend this Tetris competition. Kind of weird.
but is Tetris a game now that you like, and is it your main game, or is your focus currently on other games?
So the game I do play NES Tetris when I have time. Besides playing Mario Kart on on the Switch.
Oh, I love that game.
Yeah, I like playing online and competing against people from around the world.
Yeah,
But yeah,
exactly.
yeah. But I've been playing NES Tetris too, and I've been trying. Well, so yeah, I was when I first got NES Tetris. I think well, I guess I'll backtrack a bit on when I started playing NES Tetris.
Yeah, go.
Yeah, so I started playing. Well, actually, I'm gonna take it further back to Tetris 99 because that's actually the first one I played seriously.
Oh yeah, go on. I want to hear the whole story.
Yeah, so I never really played Tetris because I always thought it was difficult. That's why I just watched Jonas play on Twitch and
Yeah,
Harry on Twitch as well.
yeah,
I'm more of like I watch other people play video games. I don't necessarily play it back then because I always thought they were difficult and thought that I can't do it. Like I
yeah,
guess I didn't believe in myself. But anyways, so around 2019, that's when I had a lot of free time. So I was like watching Jonas stream all the time. And that's about the time when Tetris 99 came out, and I remember Jonas was always winning Tetris 99, and I remember that was a lot of watching him play that game was kind of fun. But I didn't play it because I'm like, I'm not sure if I can play it, and also I didn't have the online service for Nintendo Switch, so I didn't have Tetris 99 back then.
yeah,
But one day I was at my friend's house, and after playing like Mario Kart, he was like, hey, let's play Tetris 99. It's like, oh, cool. I've seen that game. And I remember he was kind of struggling with it a bit. I'm like, why don't I try playing it? Because he knows that I'm into Tetris. I'm like, I've seen this game and I didn't do so well, but like, well, I knew how to play the game a bit from watching Jonas, but like, he was teaching me the one thing he was teaching me was hard dropping with the up on the D-pad. I
yeah.
was like, oh, okay. So that got me interested in playing the game. So later on, I went back to my house and started playing Tetris 99 there. And yeah, about I wrote a bit of that about on my website. Like I had a hard struggle, but we'll talk about the website later. But
I had a hot
basically,
struggle with Tetris 99 too. I haven't won any Tetris 99 match yet. I think I'm 1500 games in.
oh wow,
I'm that good.
how many games that is?
1500 matches I've played and I
Oh,
haven't won a single one. Closest I closest I came was third.
oh wow.
I just hate the top 10 and I hate when the pieces are like instant falling and my stack is always high up. So
Oh, okay. Yeah, that barrier. So yeah, when I play Tetris 99, when you get to that top 10, yeah, like the pieces speed up and also the music. I'm like, oh shoot, this is getting tense because the music is Fly of the
oh
Bumblebee, I
yeah.
believe.
Yeah, it
So
is.
yeah, so I have to learn like, okay, so when I get there, I need to calm myself down because I always tend to get nervous easily. So I'm like, okay, just calm down a bit and you'll be fine. And well, it actually did take me a long time to get my first win. Well, when I was playing Touch 99, there were two tips that because my brother saw me playing, there were two things that well, just carry over to NES Tetris, like two things that my advice on my brother gave. Like he doesn't play Tetris, but he saw like the one thing I was struggling with was one, the directions. So you can rotate in both
Yeah.
directions, and he knows that I was only rotating one direction, so I was triple flipping.
Oh yeah.
And another thing is I couldn't tell the difference between an L and a J piece. So when I would like place a piece, I would think it's like an L piece, but it's actually a J piece. So I had to like kind of kind of learn like, okay, in my mind, like it becomes second nature, but you can like kind of tell like, okay, that piece fits there. That L piece is that's the L piece, that's a J piece.
Yeah.
And also learning to flip in both directions. I had to kind of instead of focusing too much on my stack, I had to be like, okay, A clockwise, B counterclockwise.
Oh man,
And
I play with Y and B. So it's like Y is clockwise and B is counterclockwise, but I always think that Y is counterclockwise and B is clockwise.
oh wow, I guess you have a different control scheme.
I don't. Yeah, probably. I don't know, but it's like it's always so confusing, especially when I play NES Tetris and then play Tetris 99. I always get so confused with the rotation of Tetris 99, like which button is left and which button is right, and I never get it right.
Oh man, yeah, I guess you gotta check the settings because I think the default is A B. You might want to check the control settings if you go back to it.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, it took me a thousand. It took me like I think it took me like a few months to get my first win. It took me like over 1,000 games to finally get my first win.
Oh, I played the game now for 3 years on and off, and I never got my first win. So kudos to you to win a game.
Yeah, and yeah, it is a big accomplishment. I remember I was like, finally a win.
It's just that relief. Like you play this game for so long, and then you get third, you get second, and then the win just never happens. It's the same like if you get a one-off a max out, and like, oh my gosh, I need to get one Tetris ball, get a max out, and then you get 900k after 900k after 900k after 900k. And then, like Grand Designs had a couple of one-offs for his max out, and then 3 years grinding to get a max out.
Definitely. And so, okay, now we can transition over to like the NES Tetris now. So, so yeah, I finally got my first one in Tetris 99, and so I want to play NES Tetris, but the thing is, like, it's like, oh man, am I gonna have to get an NES or? And I remember I was talking to like my friend. I was like, man, I want to play NES Tetris, but like I don't have an NES. It's like, have you tried an emulator? I'm like, um, yeah, I guess I can because I thought emulators were gonna be complicated, but
Yeah.
on Google, I just typed in like NES Tetris, and there was like well, I didn't have to like download an emulator. It was just like a website that had an emulator
Oh,
in the website, and I just play NES Tetris there.
nice.
And yeah, that was needless to say, I remember struggling on NES Tetris, like on I think level 2 or level 3, and I remember being like struggling and being like, how these people do so well on NES Tetris?
I still ask that question to this day.
Yeah, even level 19. But
Oh my gosh, how I hate 19.
yeah, but I think the one thing that it's been a long time, so it's like hard for me to kind of recap these stories. So
Yeah,
bear with me on this. But so the one skill I took over from Tetris 99 was learning to flip in both directions. So luckily, I didn't have to like really learn that.
yeah.
But it was mostly just getting comfortable with the pieces and learning how to stack, which luckily I learned how to stack from watching Jonas's Tetris lessons, which is basically stack on the left side, create a well on the right side, and do some delayed burns or like learn to burn, keep your stack low. Like no need to be perfect and score Tetrises every single time.
No, exactly.
So yeah, and I remember like my first accomplishment was getting 100K on level 9 because I was practicing level 9 a lot, and I remember like getting the first 100K score, and I was like, yes, that was
Let's
like a
go.
big accomplishment.
Yeah. So, do you own original hardware or a clone console, or do you still play on emulator?
So I play on a clone console, the Retron One HD. I actually originally got an NES, an original
Mm.
NES. This was during the pandemic, and I remember
Yeah,
when I got in the package, I'm like, I didn't realize how big it was. I'm like, oh my gosh, this thing is big.
it's big. Yeah.
It's like because I grew up with the GameCube, so like I thought it was gonna be like a little bit big, but like it kind
No,
of took up space on the table. I'm like, oh man.
I have two NESs, one PAL NES and an NTSC NES, like original NESs, and I stacked them on top of each other because I have no room for two NESs, like if they are standing on my desk or something like that. So I had them stacked up on my computer desktop, like that's why I played. And I had one RCA cable, and I had to switch between PAL and NTSC NES to know which version I wanted to play.
Yeah, and so I think I was grinding. A, so I did play on NES for a time, but like I was like trying to figure out how to get rid of the NES console so I can just uh, play on the Retro One HD, which doesn't take as much space.
Yeah.
And there was a streamer named Ivory, and I remember like she lived in the SoCal area, and so I remember it was like she was mentioning like she played on the Retro One. It was like, hey, do you want the NES? I can give it to you. It's like for free, and
Oh, nice.
that was actually a relief for me. And I remember, and I think it was worth it to give it to her because she showed that she was skilled at the game, so I know she would make good use of the NES console. And yeah, she did, and she did. She eventually did get a max out NES Tetris on that console, so
Oh.
I'm glad I
So
gave it to.
a little bit proud of that.
A little bit, knowing that. Oh, okay, made the right choice to give that console to her.
So how often do you play NES Tetris nowadays?
Nowadays, maybe like once or twice a week. Well, yeah, because I started working for a few months, so I don't have as much free time to play NES Tetris. But
Yeah.
back then, I was grinding in 29. I was grinding a lot in 2019 because, oh yeah, because 2019 I mentioned that I had a lot of free time because in 2018 I mentioned that I was basically with college.
Yeah.
I had actually dropped out of college and to
Oh.
pursue like an online course in digital marketing.
Yeah.
I was a mechanical engineering in college and I struggled. And yeah, oh man, we're going all over the place, aren't we?
Oh, I mean, it's the nature of the podcast.
Oh
We go
man,
all over the place always.
yeah, it's hard because there's like multiple timelines. But anyways, so yeah, 2018. Yeah, because I don't remember too much from 2018. I because I was basically with college and I watched Jonas's streams like on and off. But
Yeah.
I did watch the 2018 tournament live on Twitch, so that was pretty cool to see Joseph win. But
So yeah.
yeah,
So
but
2019, you had a lot of downtime, like you moved to an online course of digital marketing. So basically, you didn't go to college, like a physical building. So you were at home, I think.
yes,
So in
and
between lessons, you played a lot of NES Tetris to kill some time or so.
yeah, and also I was taking a little bit break from college because so I dropped out of college in 2018. In 2019, basically, I took this online course isn't actually a set schedule. It's like a series of videos, so I can like go
Oh
at my
yeah,
own pace.
yeah,
And I was struggling a lot in college, and it was stressing me out. So
yeah,
I I was kind of taking the course, but at the same time, I was kind of taking a break in
yeah,
life. So and also, when I dropped out of college, the thing is, like, because I was talking to a lot of people in college. When I dropped out of college, I was like, "Oh my gosh, I was alone."
yeah.
So, but luckily, I found I had Twitch, so my the person I would hang out with was Jonas's stream. That was my
Nice.
hangout
Yeah.
spot.
No, I mean whatever works.
Yeah, and like Jonas was very engaging, so luckily that kind of kept me occupied when I was taking my digital marketing course.
Yeah,
And so I was following that. So yeah, this was like after in 2019, after that's when his Twitch stream like took off, and like that's actually when I started joining Jonas's Discord, and I was still kind of lurking back then because like not really like kind of standing out in his community. Like
yeah,
I purposely did that because I didn't want to like draw too much attention to myself. But anyways, so I was taking the digital marketing course, and somewhere in this and I was going at a slow pace, but basically one of the assignments was to um, build a website because the way digital marketing works, like build a website, and I was
yeah,
focusing on this part that I wanted to learn was running advertisements on Google search, like running ads on Google search.
yeah.
And so assignment is build a website and then run advertisements on Google to your website.
Mm.
And the website, it could be about anything. Like, so I believe it or not, I was actually struggling with which topic to do on the website. I was like, okay, I could do game shows because I'm into game shows, but the thing is, there's already a game show website out there, and I'm not going to make much of an impact if I make a website on game shows.
Yeah,
Uh, I want to do one on like certain human rights issues. I don't want to go into details, but that would. The thing is, like, if you're writing about serious issues, it could get a little bit sad, and like that, I wouldn't be in a good mood when I'm making a website on it.
you wanted
So
something uplifting.
yeah, exactly. And
Yeah,
the Tetris tournament that I've been binge watching, I'm like, there isn't a lot of stuff about Tetris, the Classic
yeah,
Tetris World Championship, because when I Google, I don't see too well, there are some articles, but not too many.
yeah,
So I was like, I can make a website about Tetris
yeah.
and write articles on it. So I decided to do a website on Tetris.
And TetrisInterest.com was born.
Yeah, that's what happened. And this was a secret project. I didn't tell anyone I was going to do this because I was a little bit shy to tell people about this because no one else has done this. I'm not sure if people would like it or not.
Yeah. But
So
it is something that still to this day I miss about classic Tetris. Like, there is not enough written articles about NES Tetris.
yeah, it's like you don't see an article every year being like Jonas wins 2011, Jonas wins 2012.
Now, I mean, it's the World Championship. So if Jonas wins 7 times, you get the headline 7 times. He's a 7-time world champion. It's like Formula One. Lewis Hamilton wins his seventh world championship. You get headlines that he wins 7 world championships. So that's not really the issue. It's more like NES Tetris, especially after the Boom Tetris videos in 2018 and Joseph winning in 2018. The scene got a boost, but still, we got some articles. The New York Post had an article. BBC had an interview with Quince Clementi lately. It was not about classic Tetris, but CTWC got mentioned and all that. But still, retro games or retro websites are not writing about NES Tetris. You know?
Yeah, it is still relatively niche. We're not yeah, it's not like a Fortnite or yeah. It,
Exactly.
I always compare that. It's like it's not Fortnite.
No, I know it's not Fortnite, but like, ZDev won the Classic Tetris European Championships, TTEC, back to back, 2021, 2022. And I wrote to a retro website, which is a highly rated retro website in the Netherlands. And I'm like, okay, a Dutchman or a Dutchie won CTEC, like the PAL World Championship. Is it something you want to write about? And they are like, no, this is too niche. Like, we don't care that 30 or 32 people are in Copenhagen playing a tournament. So it's like, we're not going to write about this. And I'm like, Zineb, one of the best Tetris players in the world currently. And you're not going to write about it?
Crazy because you think it would be big in the retro gaming world, but it's
Exactly.
not. Wow,
They
that's
they didn't want to do it.
wow. Yeah, I guess man, if they're not even gonna write, it kind of shows like how hard it's hard to see it in the media. And now I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's probably my motivation of doing the website because there wasn't a lot of information out there besides um a game a Game Scouts video for Clash Tetris because I wanted to learn how NES Tetris worked, like in the Clash Tetris World Championship. But the thing is, I didn't really know how it worked, like the transition at level 19 and the kill screen at level 29. I didn't really understand that aspect of it. All I knew was that Tetris scored the most amount of points.
Yeah.
And even the lines, like, I actually didn't understand how the lines go up. I thought it went up like over time itself,
Yeah.
but then it was actually like the amount of lines you cleared. Like, I actually didn't know that. I thought, like, why don't these people just line it out a bit and survive? But then it's like, oh, level 29 is a kill screen. It's like, oh, so you have to like score as many Tetrises before time
Yeah.
runs out on level 29. I didn't really know. And
I, yeah. It's when you get into NES Tetris for the first time without any information, the game is very confusing.
yeah, so luckily, like a Game Scout explained it on his video. Luckily, his explained video, he did a good job explaining that. So
Yeah.
like that's how I know how the tournament works now is because of a Game Scout. And I actually did not find out about his videos until like 2019 it was because he had released that video before the 2018 tournament, but I didn't see it at the time because
Yeah.
well, I'm not sure how I didn't see it, but basically, I found out because GameScout was competing at the 2019 SoCal Regional,
Yeah.
and Heather and Jonas, who were commentators for that tournament, they were like, "Oh, you should check out this guy's video. Like he does videos on on the Clash Tetris World Championship, and it's a must-see video. And then so that's when I looked it up, and yeah, he was explaining. I'm like, oh wow, he now I know how this works.
Finally, someone with information.
Yeah, that was the main struggle when I was into this, like Googling, and like I couldn't find anything. Like, or even the difference between classic Tetris and modern Tetris, because I'm like,
Yeah,
this game is slow, and it's like, well, it's actually just because it's slow doesn't necessarily mean it's easier or harder than modern Tetris.
it's different.
Yeah, that's the best way to explain it.
Like we sometimes we chat with modern guideline players from the Benelux, and they are like, NES Tetris looks so slow when you see it. And sometimes I have it when I commentate level 19, it looks so slow because we are slowly getting used to the 29 speed, but then level 19 is slow, you know? And then I played myself and I can't get 200 Ks on a 19 starts or stay. I rarely make it to level 20 after I transition, but the guidelines players are like, if you play NES Tetris, it's a whole different ball game. It's the same concept, clearing lines, scoring Tetrises, but it's so different compared to guideline modern Tetris.
That's what, and when I built that website, I knew like one of the first pages I was going to build was the difference between class Tetris and modern Tetris because I think that's important for people to understand.
Total Radness! Yo, this is Steve DeLuca of Total Radness, home of the Tetris World Order.
Bringing order to a chaotic world.
Ready to get rolling on the right side? Dominate the D-pad with a goofy foot controller. Visit TotalRadNES.com to score a controller modded by the inventor, me. We've also got TWO gear, CTWC approved hardware, and a ton of additional retrospective madness. Tune in to twitch.tv/Total Radness to watch Quaid and I take the BLV to 11. Also, don't miss the other homies at Aaron Jazamoki for the Boom Tetris house parties with the Kitchen Dwellers. And at Classic Vomps for those classic Tetris snugs. Be the best and keep it TWO for life.
We will return to the conversation in a minute, but first, the Peace Dependency Podcast is available on Spotify, iTunes, Google Podcasts, or your favorite podcast app. Every episode will be available at full length over on the Peace Dependency Podcast YouTube channel. Subscribe, rate, and like our content to get us notified. There's also a Peace Dependency YouTube channel. On this channel, you'll see podcast highlights, mini documentaries, and other NES-related topic videos. You can follow us on the socials at Peace Dependency. Peace Dependency is active on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Join the Tetris Friendlies Discord server. Besides the fact that it's the place to discuss anything Peace Dependency, you can also participate in some lovely friendlies or put your ELO on the line in the various ELO battles. Go to tinyurl.com/TetrisFriendlies to join the server. If you have a suggestion who we need to have on the next Peace Dependency podcast, let us know through the socials or our Discord channels. Now, let's go back to the conversation. So is the website mainly focusing on classic Tetris, or do you want to take every Tetris into account?
Yeah, that's a good question. And the thing is just like I kind of want to go. It's going to be classic Tetris for the main part for now because the thing with modern Tetris is that there are a lot of modern Tetris games out there, and I'm not. Well, there might be some established tournaments, but it's like I don't really keep up with that community, so that's why
Yeah.
you don't see many articles on modern Tetris.
So you also cover Dr. Mario tournaments? Why is that?
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's a good question. So this was okay. The Dr. Mario. Oh, okay. Yeah, because in 2019, this was I got into Dr. Mario Championship because Heather and Jonas like appeared there, and Heather won that tournament. And
Yeah.
at the time when I was building my website, because okay, so I built my website in September of 2019, and I only had like 3 articles on there, and they weren't really ranking on Google. So I'm like, oh man, like not even my website on the article on the Class Test World Championship ranked on the first page. So I was like, you know what? I'll help the Dr. Mario Championship out there because when I Google it, I don't see any articles on the tournament. So I decided to write an informational article on there, and in a short period of time compared to like my other articles at the time, like the Dr. Mario Championship was on the first page. I'm like, yes, right? It's on the Google results for the terms I wanted,
Yeah.
and I was actually pretty nervous about that. I'm like, when I was on the first page, I'm like, oh shoot, I hope it's a good article, and then. No, I'm kind of nervous, like if the organizers see it and if it's like a bad article to them, and I'm like, oh man, I hope Chris Bidwell doesn't see it.
Did he see it?
Yeah, he did. So I was on Twitter and I followed the Dr. Mario Championship on Twitter, and I saw the tweet, and it was like a nice article on a little tournament. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's my article.
Nice.
And I didn't actually tell anyone that was well, I guess I did mention it, but I didn't want to put too much attention to myself. All right.
Oh,
And
why not? Why didn't you want to do that?
I was still kind of nervous about my website because didn't tell anybody about my website even after I established it.
Yeah.
I didn't want anyone to know. I was just kind of shy about it. I was like, shoot, I hope the community doesn't look at this as like a terrible website about them. That's why I
Yeah.
was very kind of shy about it. And
But I think the overreaction to every article is like great.
yeah, it actually is like from now I'm like a little bit proud of it. But but yeah, I guess back then, so I guess to backtrack on my website, Tetris Interest. So I wrote 3 articles. You'll see the front page is Tetris still popular in the 21st century.
Yeah.
That one's just basically the history of Tetris. My second article was about the Classic Tetris World Championship. So I did that one. And the third one was the modern Tetris versus classic Tetris. And it was like, what is the difference between those two games? And
Yeah.
um, oh, I didn't tell you this, maybe you saw it, but I actually had, like, this little email sign up where if you go if you sign up, you get emails to, the training videos from Jonas.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I saw it.
Yeah, I never told anyone. But
So you had a shout out from the Dr. Mario Championship because you wrote an article about them. Um, when was it that you said, "This is my website. I am the creator behind it"?
oh, okay. I think so basically that was man, I'm trying to remember the time, but the first time I posted my website was on Jonas's Discord server. Because I wrote an article about the different Tetris championships, like learning more about them. At the time, this was this was in 2019, so it was like Jonas knew about Harry Hong and Joseph Staley, and Jonas's server had a rule like don't promote stuff. So I just like DM'd Heather Ito, that's Jonas's wife, and I was like, "Hey, can I share this article about the Tetris championships? Because I think that one was a good one."
Yeah.
And Heather's like, "Yeah, go ahead, post it." And so I posted on Jonas's Discord, and yeah, I think yeah, I don't think I got too much reception from it, but yeah, I think it was kind of positive. It was like, "Oh, this is actually a cool website." I was like, "Oh, okay." Um, Later on, the second person I told was a Game Scout, and yeah, because a Game Scout started streaming on Twitch at the time, and I was like, I guess I wanted to talk to him because I was like, "Oh wow, he's finally streaming." And I was like, Hey, just so you know, I have a website about Tetris called tetrisinterest.com.
Yeah.
And I think, yeah, that was, yeah, Uno kind of, because Uno was with the Game Scout hangs out in the stream. And I remember Uno like looking through the website, like, oh wow, it's pretty cool. And she saw my article, "Is Tetris Still Popular in the 21st Century?" Which it was like I remember Uno described it to Scout. So yeah, this article is good. It's basically your Game Scout's video, but in writing form. And I remember being
Yeah.
like, oh shoot, I hope he doesn't get mad that I kind of that kind of looks so much his video because that article was an inspiration from his video.
I mean, I don't think you can copyright the history of something.
Yeah,
So, and it was a different form. Yeah, like, you wrote about it, and GameScout made a video about it.
yeah, I think even a game scout said what you said, like, oh, like the history's out there, you just research it, which like
Yeah,
that's okay.
yeah,
Yeah, and
exactly.
yeah, and I was comfortable with Scout because like he was kind of he was a journalist too, so I felt comfortable sharing that website to him because I think he kind of knew what I was doing. I felt like
Yeah,
he kind of knew, and so that's when I also shared it. But also so a little confidence boost from there, and I decided to kind of post it on Twitter like one of my new articles at the time, which was the Boom Tetris for Jeff article.
yeah,
But it wasn't getting much reception, and I realized that it's probably because I was tweeting from my own profile, my personal Twitter account. I was like,
yeah.
okay, I actually do need a social media account for Tetris Interest, and that's when I started to like really share my articles.
So you also made an article about PDP, and when I saw it, I was so confused and so proud. Like for a moment, I'm like, someone just took the time to write an article about my podcast.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah, I remember when your podcast came out. I'm like, oh, this is pretty exciting. More content with Tetris, and I I didn't make the article right away. I wanted to kind of like see some of your. I wanted to watch the first few of your videos is to make sure you were established. And yeah, you were doing a few of them at the time. I'm like, okay, you've established yourself. I'm gonna write an article about it.
Yeah, yeah. It was necessary for me to get a few key persons in the first season to like, okay, this is something that I want to do, and if they don't want to go, don't want to be on the show, like, what's the reason to do it? Like, I can make a podcast about true community members, which is amazing, and I still want to do that someday. But it's like that's not getting views, or it is interesting, but it's not really what the community want to hear. They want to hear the stories about like the major players or the major community members.
Yeah, yeah, they want to hear about that, and especially well, yeah, actually, that was interesting because I don't know too many players at the time, so I guess I didn't really listen to like your. Well, I guess I kind of listened to your episodes, but the thing is, like, I didn't really know your guests, so it was hard for me to like kind of connect.
Yeah, the first
So
few guests were mostly European that I knew from the PAL community.
yeah, that I think that's probably why it was like the first. I think the first known guest. Well, besides, well, the first known guest was actually Adam Cornelius and Vince Clemente, and
Yeah,
then Game Scout, and then Sharky. I remember those were exciting. But
yeah, those were lovely podcasts. Yes, fond memories of the first season.
oh man, and that was around the time when I started promoting my website, so it was that's probably why I remember those very well.
So yeah, I never thank you personally for that. So it's so cool to have our own article. It's like when people ask about my podcast, I always show your website. Like this is basically what I do, and someone wrote an article about
I was like, yeah, my website's popular here.
it. Yeah, so something like that. But the thing about your website is you don't post regularly on the website. Is there a reason behind it?
The reason why I don't post regularly, it's more of just like the time commitment to it, because I don't plan on turning this into like a full time thing where I'm like making money off it, because
Yeah,
I think the thing is, if I were to like turn this into a full time thing project, it would I would burn myself out because as much as I like the Tetris community, like I would burn myself out if I like write multiple articles about it, and I might my quality of the articles might not be that good.
Yeah. But do you think something like maybe not you, but maybe a website like TetrisInterest.com, like 24/7 news of classic Tetris, like written articles about classic Tetris, do you think that can sustain for long periods of time, or do you think this community is so small, like there's no need for a news article website?
And that's a good question. And well, the thing is, now that there's multiple Tetris tournaments out there, well, it's hard because it's like you have to be. I guess it would be needed to like if you want to like keep up with like everything going on. So I would say at this point it would actually benefit if there was like a dedicated like someone that's very dedicated and keeping up with CTM and all the other tournaments. But the thing is like I don't necessarily keep up with other tournaments besides CTWC because it would that's a lot of like Tetris tournaments and
Yeah.
I would kind of burn myself out. That's why you don't see me writing an article about like every monthly winner in Classic Tetris Monthly.
Are you gonna do an article about Mega Masters?
Um, I don't. Maybe I thought about writing an article about the Mega Masters coming, but I didn't have a lot of free time because I was working for a few months, so I ended up passing on that. I'm working on like other articles right now.
Yeah. Can you give a glimpse on what articles you're currently working?
Yeah, the one that I'm working on is well, I surprised I haven't done this in a while. I haven't done this, but I'm working on one is just tips on how to get good at NES Tetris,
Yeah.
and it's just taken from like other people like Jonas and the Tetris community as a whole.
Yeah.
But I I basically just want to help like the beginners kind of get into that half a million point range as a PB and NES Tetris. Like I'm mostly kind of focusing on helping them get those starting steps, not necessarily like level 19 transition and past that. Because
Yeah.
I think like you need in the beginning, I it's mostly just like I want to give them like a confidence boost so that way they can go on to get a max out in the future.
Oh yeah. And you told me once that you were wanting to do some written interviews. Is that something that you want to still do?
Written interviews. No,
Like yeah, you had the idea to talk to Aaron Josamoki on over Discord and put that in an article, but like written interviews, like maybe long form or short form.
yeah, I thought about that. Yeah, it was so Aaron Jaws. Yeah, it was actually Vince Clemente that kind of brought it up, and I guess when I asked them because I was basically asking him like, oh, what similarity? Because Vince was talking to Jaws, and it's like, oh, what are similarities between classic NES Tetris competition and skateboarding? And I guess he never wrote back to me, and I remember seeing you on another Twitch stream, and you were mentioning that you were gonna interview Jaws, and I was like, "Oh, okay." I think it would be best to.
Sorry.
Oh no, it's fine. I think it was best to just give it to you because I think it would be better to like hear those responses in a podcast form rather than written.
Yeah.
And I was kind of busy at the time, anyways. It was more of a relief, really.
But like a interview with the 2023 world champion, or like the winner of Mega Masters, or maybe an interview with every regional CTWC winner. I think that is pretty cool to read.
Yeah, I think it would be, but I guess it's like because I don't watch those tournaments, I haven't done that, but that might be something I consider in the future, but we'll see. I just need to manage my time better, I guess, going forward and figure that out.
So are there more expansion plans for TetrisInterest.com, or do you want to expand the team maybe that more people can write on the website?
Um, that's a possibility. It's yeah, that's you notice that it's not regular. It's I guess if people are interested, they can maybe write an article on my website. They can like if they want, they can like maybe send me an article and I can like kind of post that on my website and be like, hey, this article is from this person. And I think you noticed there was one article. Yeah, of all articles, there was only one that was from someone else, and that was Ashley Martin.
Yeah, like the Waco trip from last year, I believe,
Yeah, that was last.
or
Yeah,
2021. I don't
20.
know. Time is flying.
Yeah, it's no, you're right. It was 2022. Yeah, it's yeah, the pandemic kind of
I
yeah,
had I so I had Mark on the show like back in 2020, and I was watching Game Scout's 19.5 video, like, and that got released a couple of months before I had Mark on the show, and I was like, oh my lord, it's now 2.5 years ago that I had Mark on the show, and that video came out, and I was like, that is in my mind, it was like 4 years ago that the 19.5 video got released.
yeah, it's hard because I don't remember. Yeah, now it's like with the Games Cast videos because now he uploads videos regularly. I don't remember. I might not
It's
remember the time periods.
It's so confusing when some videos came out and I was like, oh, this video came out in 2019. Oh no, that's 2021. I'm like, where did the time go? Why does it feel like it's 4 years when it's in reality only 2 years?
Yeah, it was really just yeah, that's crazy. I've been covering this since like I discovered this tournament late 2017. It's like hard to believe it's been like that long since then. And yeah, it's hard to believe that it's been been like let's see, 2019. Yeah, like 3 years since I built my website. So that's
Yeah.
kind of crazy. And yeah, your podcast too.
My podcast is 1st of July turns 3. And I've missed 4 months, and the rest of the months I've done every month a podcast.
Oh, man.
It's crazy how time flies. Like the end of this season is you're the penultimate podcast, and then we have Eric ICX as the final show for this season.
Oh yeah. Oh, okay, that's a fitting guess. The most
So
recent winner.
exactly, but it's like I've already completed three or close to 3 seasons of this show, and I'm starting my 4th season in September, and it's like time is flying. It's so. I remember when I started doing season 3, and now it's already the end of season 3. It goes so fast.
Wow. Yeah, and even if you don't mind me bringing up Jonas, yeah, it's hard to believe it's been more than 2 years since losing
Yeah,
Jonas. I'm like, it's hard to believe because I miss Jonas, but it's like it's hard to like just view him as like a distant memory for me because I had a lot of good times on this stream. So yeah, that's
but even that feels so long ago. Like sometimes I need to remind myself that was early 2021, and that, oh yeah, Jonas played during the 2020 World Championship, because it feels like it's longer ago.
and I still remember that. If you don't mind me talking about that, because that was actually a big moment in late 2020, because helping Jonas with his scores, submissions, and time stamping, that was
Yeah,
the moment I stood out in his community. So that was actually a big moment for
yeah,
me.
and
And
yeah. Go on.
yeah, and you mentioned like I became a moderator. Yeah, I was watching the Clash Tetris European Championship, and Jonas saw me, and he sent me a Twitch whispers like, "Hey, thank you for everything. I as a token appreciation, you're now a moderator for my channel." I'm like, "Oh, thanks, Jonas," and that was
That's so
very
cool.
it was, and I guess what made it feel good was like besides getting mono was like how I got the moderator role. Like wasn't like begging for it. I wasn't trying to become a moderator. I literally was just helping Jonas because I enjoyed hanging out with him and I just
Yeah.
wanted to support him,
So
especially yeah, especially
so
after
you
losing
earned
to
it.
Midroll.
Yeah.
Yeah, it felt earned basically, exactly. And
S-
yeah,
So
that
if we move forward to 2021, CTWC is still online, and I saw a lot of people thanking you for the timestamps that you provided to them. Was it like people came to you for the timestamps? Did you offer your services to them?
I was offering my services to them. I was so yeah, 2021 I was yeah, because 2021 was when I actually had a lot of free time again. So that's why you saw my name being shouted out more compared to 2020. Because 2020 I couldn't help as many people, and that's why like you see more attention to in 2021. I remember seeing that. I'm like, I was kind of nervous about it because like when people were shouting me out, I'm like, oh shoot, some people might ask me for help, which not sure if I really wanted that because it would put more pressure on me.
Yeah.
But yeah,
So how did you do that? Like for 2020, you had a memo a pad on your phone and you uh timestamped for Jonas, but like now you did like maybe 2 or 3 qualifiers a day.
yeah. So how I did that? So I actually didn't watch them live. I actually did went on their VODs and kind of did it for them.
Oh
And
yeah.
yeah, I basically kind of try to figure out where their top scores were, and then like watch a game at double speed just to make sure it's that game it's the
Oh
right
yeah.
game with the right score. And it's like after like 50 lines, I'm like, okay, now I just like kind of skim through it just to make sure it is the game. Like, okay, that's that's the game, the correct timestamp.
Is that the same what you do for the CTWC regionals events, where you'll timestamp all matches?
Yeah, yeah, you're seeing the same pattern for timestamping. Yeah, basically, yeah. I find the 3, 2, 1 Tetris, and that's where I timestamp.
Yeah.
And I watch it at double speed for a moment just to make sure there weren't any resets or technical problems that forced them to restart the game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So is it something you felt like you needed to do after 2020, or is it something you just wanted to do?
I think after 20 oh yeah, timestamping matches, it was something that I always felt the need to do because I wanted to help people watch the tournaments. I actually the first time timestamping was actually the 2019 Classic Tetris World Championship. The thing is, those VODs expired, so I didn't put too much work into it, but I was just timestamping the start of each round and sending it to a few of the people in the Tetris community that I was close with.
Yeah.
That's actually where it started, and the tournament being online was like something else. Like, okay, I know this is a lot of work. I'll just help people with that. And
So
well,
s- so how do you make time for that? So is it like the tournament ends, we have to do this quickly, or how do you do that?
that's a good question. And so the first time where I was dedicated to was the 2022 World Championship. Yeah, I think I just made time for it because I kind of viewed it as something very important. So I try to get that as soon as possible. And now for the regional tournaments, I do that because the thing is, because now we highlight our VODs, I have the motivation to do it because like it's a permanent video. It's not something that's gonna expire.
Yeah.
And if you're wondering why these videos are getting highlighted, in mid 2022, Vince Clemente made me a moderator for the Classic Tetris Twitch channel, and I'm also the editor on Twitch for that, which basically means I have the power to kind of um, basically handle the videos on their Twitch channel. So I was always highlighting those videos, making sure those do not get lost.
Nice.
So yeah, it's a me thing because the regionals happen on the weekends, so like I have time to kind of do them
Yeah.
because I watch them. And yeah, I guess I find time because it happens on the weekend, so I'm able to do it. That's kind of the only reason I have the time to timestamp the regionals.
Do you timestamp them live or do you timestamp through the VOD?
Good question. I actually timestamp them after the tournament because I think it would be a lot of work for me to kind of keep because when I watch it live, I kind of just want to enjoy it.
Yeah.
So I do it afterwards.
And I mean, those tournaments are like, those streams are like 6 to 8 hours long.
Yeah, and I think that's exactly why I timestamp it because I want to help people find their matches, and I'm like, I'm gonna do this on your behalf.
Yeah. So, have you ever attended a live tournament?
I never did, and I wanted to in well, obviously, I wasn't gonna do the Portland one because that was a big dedication, but there were regionals in SoCal. There was one in 2020 in late March, and it was actually very convenient because it was not far from where I lived.
Yeah.
And I was excited about it because I'm like, oh, this is my first time where I get to meet Jonas and Heather in person. And then obviously the pandemic hit, that event got canceled, and I was like, darn it. But it is what it was.
Are you planning to go to any live events?
Yeah, well, yeah. So no, yeah, there was a possibly planned SoCal regional in Irvine from World Puzzle League, kind of
Yeah.
like last year. But I think Beeson decided not to go through with that because he had other obligations in his life. So that was out the window. I no promises on this one, but I will try to attend the 2023 Classic Tetris World Championship if I can, because now I have a job. I
Nice.
can go on that trip with my own money.
Yeah.
But we'll see. But yeah, no promises. Yeah, it'll kind of depend.
It's something that's on the bucket list.
Yeah, I definitely do want to attend, and especially having my website on Tetris, I'm like it's more of an obligation to go there because
Yeah.
I want to go there and write an article about it, and that's something that I've always wanted to do, but I never had the chance because I never did attend any of these live events.
My life experience during CTWC.
Yeah, that's something I wanted to do, and I wanted to kind of observe the community in person, and like kind of see how the people are like in person. I want to like observe how it's like to be there, not necessarily.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Why is CTWC the tournament for you?
well, because I think that's more just where it kind of starts because I only keep up because before TTM because it's like the main event. That's why I mainly follow Classic World Championship because it's like that's where like all the I know CTM has the best players compete as well, but TDWC is I kind of view it as a more prestige event, and that's probably why I I mainly focus on that tournament, and also it's because it only happens once a year, so I
Yeah.
don't burn myself out. And yeah, that's why you don't. Yeah, that's probably why I don't keep up with major sports like NBA because there's too many games. It's like that's a lot of games to keep up with. But with CDWC, it only happens once a year, and it's only in a 3-day period. So that's why I enjoy watching CDWC because it doesn't happen often.
Yeah. And what do you think is the greatest CTWC ever?
That's a good question. And with all these matches, um, the greatest one I would say is the first double max out, which with both players getting a max out, because that has never happened before. And to see that happen at CGC 2019, it was like it finally happened
Yeah.
because it was like more of an anticipation. It's like when is this going to happen? This is gonna happen eventually.
Yeah.
But now it's nowadays, like, especially in the 2020 CWC, when you see a double max out, I was like, oh, cool, a double max out. It's like kind
We
of
got
interesting.
double 2 millions.
Yeah, that's funny. It's yeah, there was that 2 million game, but I guess I don't know why I didn't have as much excitement as I did with the first double max out. And I think the reason why is because it's like with well, I think it's because I kind of expected more because like Eric has scored 6 million points. I guess if I've never like kept up with classic Tetris, I would be excited about it. But because I've
Yeah.
seen this already, where it's like, okay, it's like, yeah, I know they're able to score 2 million points.
So it excites you less, like the regular max outs and the higher scores.
Yeah, that's exactly because when Rolling came out, I've already seen these world records, so I'm just like, oh, okay, 2 million. Uh,
So w- can you enjoy that NES Tetris?
I can, but as long as I don't watch it as if I don't watch it often. If I watch it too many times, I think it's more of just like if I see something too many times, I would get tired of it. So I
Yeah,
want to see it. If I see it less often, then like if I see a tournament less often, then I would be excited for it in general.
yeah. So most likely, CTWC will implement a line cap, potentially a level 39 line cap. What's your opinion on that?
Yeah, that's good. I would say with the line cap, yeah, I'm glad that. Well, hopefully they do it. I would say it is necessary because when CTM did it, one thing that was noticeable when they first implemented the line cap was that it, there was more an incentive to try to score Tetrises on level 29 on the kill screen levels, level 29. So I'm
Yeah,
very glad that we did that because yeah, because if you're gonna see because seeing players line out like for a long period of time on the kill screen, like it is fun to see once, like at the CTWC 2022.
yeah,
But I guess it's like now that you see it once, it's like, okay, we know you can play forever. But what makes NES Tetris unique in the esports is that it eventually comes to an end and there's more pressure towards the end to like
yeah.
score those Tetrises. So hopefully it goes back to that.
And like CTM is now starting with a 19 start tournament. Masters will be a 19 start for May, and then 100 lines on 19, 100 lines on a 29. Do you think that's a positive direction the game is going, or do you think 18 needs to stay during competition?
That's surprising. I actually haven't heard about that, but I know there's been talks about that. I would that's a good question. I think the thing is with TTM is like I see it's more of an experimental for that because to be honest, I don't really know my opinions on that. Like, let's see. It's more of like let's see how this goes at TTM, and and then that way we can kind of have a better answer if it's a good idea to implement or not.
Yeah.
My current opinion for now is I believe level 18 will be fine. I think the main thing that needs to be changed is the line cap on level 39.
I'll scream my lungs off if there is no line cap and both players get into glitch colors.
Oh, yeah. Oh, funny thing you mentioned glitch colors. I think Sodium gave because Trey Harrison has the special cartridge for CGC. I think Trey mentioned that Sodium gave him like a little software that prevents glitch colors.
Oh.
Because the thing is, I think Trey tried like displaying like glitch colors with Trey Vision, but it didn't his software didn't really see those colors, so that's why we're not gonna see those glitch colors on Trey
Oh,
Vision.
that's too bad. I mean, that would be lovely if we get glitch colors, both a double glitch color run.
It would be, but I don't know, that might happen in regional, but oh yeah, because we used the Tetris Gym cartridge. I think that would I don't know, that could happen, if some of those tournaments don't incorporate a line cap.
Yeah, I maybe we get a all major tournaments will use 39 line cap, and then we have some tournaments that are open like a known line cap tournament.
Oh yeah, I think that's a good part is that like with multiple Tetris events is that you can pretty much experiment with which one you want. It's like if you're tired of seeing line caps, you want to see like I want to see what a known line cap looks like and see where that goes. That's
Yeah,
actually pretty cool to experiment with that.
last year or late 2021, DAS only tournaments have been popping up and became very popular with the DAS World Cup last year in Germany. So I think like we get a 39 line cap matches, we get like known line cap matches, but also the DAS only matches. It's like we get so many different types of matches or tournaments based on this one game.
Yeah, it is very interesting. And I remember like the DAS tournament. I was, I wasn't sure if it's going to be good or not, but it did turn out to be good because it went back to times where it's like level 19 was actually hard. You can't just, you can't get away with playing aggressively. So yeah, it is amazing to see these DAS tournaments show up because you get to go back to those times back when you couldn't like stack very high on level 19, and it forced you to kind of make those decisions of whether to line out
Yeah,
or play aggressive and go for Tetrises.
yeah. So if you don't watch a lot of classic Tetris through the year and then your main focus is TWC, how did you get informed by all things happening within the world of classic Tetris?
Um, well, honestly, I don't. It's hard to. Well, I keep up with what's going on through the announcements in Classic Tetris Monthly, but also through the YouTube comment section. On the CTN Discord, they have a YouTube comment channel. I always keep up with that, and it's when those YouTube videos get uploaded from CTM. That's when I kind of know what's going on, and of course through the Game Scouts videos.
Yeah, nice. So one more question before I let you go, and that is always a question about the future. So what are your plans for 2023, or what are your plans for TetrisInterest.com?
That's a good question. I would say the future would be to continue for every CDWC making an article about like whoever wins that CDWC. I want to kind of like with like other major league sports, like this team won this tournament. I want to be there for be reporting on that since there isn't too much coverage on it.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's doing pretty well. It was funny that you mentioned. Yeah, I want to keep doing that because in the 2021 tournament, I remember like in the CTN Discord, it's like the Game Scouts like, there's no has anyone seen any coverage of it besides Tensor's interest? I'm like, nope.
Nope. Yeah, we need more news outlets or retro outlets to cover CTWC. And not
Right.
just the one-offs like the New York Post did or whatever website does, but like regular articles about classic Tetris.
Yeah, and I think that's gonna take a while to get there, but it will probably happen eventually because I guess there's a lot of esports out there, so it's gonna take a while before we get there. I know we'll get there eventually, but it's gonna be a long process because there's so many esports out there.
We get picked up one time. I'm sure of it.
Yeah, we will. And when you mentioned article coverages, one thing that I didn't tell you is that I missed an opportunity to appear on the New York Times.
Really? Why?
I'll give you some background. So I have an email on the Tetris Interest website, Tetris, and I got an email from the New York Times journalist being like, "Hey, we want to interview you, get your thoughts on the new generation of players." And I saw that email 2 days late, and the person wanted a speedy response in this email, and I remember like, "Oh no, I
Oh
missed it."
no. Oh no.
So when,
That is so sad.
yeah, so I
I
remember
was
that.
that was going to be a big breakthrough.
It was.
Oh
So now I
man.
keep up with that email all the time. Yeah, so when I saw a New York Times article, I'm like, oh wow. But I guess in a way I'm glad because I don't become too famous.
Oh man. Wingfryer, thanks so much for joining me here on this month's PDP. It was a great pleasure to have you on.
Yeah, it's a great pleasure, and I hope to be back again because I have more to tell you.
The Peace Dependency podcast was brought to you by Total Red NES. Shop your Goofy Food Controller TWO merch and CTWC approved hardware on TotalRedNES.com. And with that all being said, this will be the end of the Peace Dependency podcast. Thank you all for listening, and make sure you follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Don't forget to join the Tetris Friendly's Discord server and follow me on the socials at Sir Mazer. For now, have a great Tetris month, and I will see you all in June. Bye!